week 2. And this chapter, chapter 2, has to do with dreams, visions, and discretion. The purpose is to affirm the reality that God's design, dream, or vision for our life may actually take us into greater hardship, all as a part of his work to build and develop our character. Look at Hebrews 12, 5 through 11. We'll start with question 2. Sometimes these questions, we're going to skip over a few because it's not really something that I can give you the answer to, but there are some questions that it can definitely give you more support in answering. So question 2, the interpretation of Joseph's dreams are not very mysterious. The brothers react immediately because the interpretation is so obvious. In the ancient world, dreams were thought to offer information from the divine realm, so the brothers would have assumed that Joseph was saying to them, "Not only am I Jacob's favorite son, but I'm God's favorite in the family." So put yourself in the position of those older brothers and think about what that might have meant to you to hear your younger sibling say something like that to you. Question 3. Solomon wrote, "Jealousy is as cruel as the grave." Song 8:6. In retelling his dreams to his brothers, it may seem to us that Joseph was fanning the flame of jealousy. However, it might have been that Joseph was so troubled by the dreams that he needed to talk to someone, and they were the only ones around. The brothers' jealousy in Genesis 37:11 may also have been maybe their reaction to God in this situation, because they would have seen the dreams as God speaking to Joseph when he wasn't speaking to them. Therefore, they are angry first because he is their father's favorite, and now it seems like he's even God's favorite. Question 4. This question has no correct answer. The purpose is to point out that Joseph was totally clueless and naive about what lay ahead. Question 5. Joseph's dreams were certainly abnormal for a nomadic shepherd boy. Even if he was his father's favorite, there would scarcely be any context in the present or the future where his brothers would have been required to bow down to their younger brother. Even if Jacob had left all his earthly possessions to Joseph so that the brothers would become virtual slaves to them, there would still never be a context where his parents would need to bow down as well. That would be confusing. Perhaps the source of the dream was not just the random act of the Spirit of God, but instead of a sovereign foreshadowing of God acting through the action of Jacob. The favorite son coat that Jacob had given him could have put dreams of royalty into Joseph's head. However, Jacob saw the dreams more pensively because Jacob himself had his life transformed by dreams from heaven. So there's a part where it kind of mentions that when Joseph tells his father about the dreams, he doesn't completely brush it away. He has a moment for pause about where all this is coming from his son. Question 6. Because Joseph's dreams and the revelation of those dreams to other players in the dream seem self-serving and even prideful, it is reasonable to assume that his brothers thought his favorite son status had gone to his head. Were his dreams of God were his dreams of God or from his ego, or both? Question 7. Many are not familiar with the experience of God speaking through dreams and visions. For the purpose of this study, however, you don't need to belabor the hows of supernatural dreams. Instead, you can expand the definition of dreams and visions to include things like your dream for your life, or what you think God's will is for your life, or your sense of God-given destiny. Question 9. The most important thing to point out in this discussion is that God's work through dreams, impressions, and visions can come from multiple sources. He can intervene by putting supernatural thoughts into our minds, as in Acts 16:9, or he can speak through our psyche in response to emotions and fears related to situations around us, as seen in Matthew 1:19 through 20 and Acts 10:1 through 43. God works through the whole of our lives. For Joseph, his relationships, age, and daydreams, and the supernatural action of God were all parts of God's work to give him these dreams. Okay, question 10. Go back to when you were maybe 25 or 30. And the intent of this question is to explore what God might have been saying to people when they were younger and perhaps less encumbered by their current worries.